I want to welcome everybody to our July Mastermind session. This is a special session for really our industry as a whole, the current state of fleet washing. And we're privileged to have a couple of great operators of ours, Shad DiGiuseppe up in St. Cloud, Minnesota, and then Tyler Carlson in the Omaha area. So first, I'd like to give these guys the opportunity to kind of introduce themselves, tell you guys about their areas, their cities, and then maybe a little bit about like the fleet industry. Like, what are you seeing in your specific area in regards to fleets? Why don't you start, Shad?
Yeah, I've been in the truck wash business for about 27 years, I believe. And I was one of the earlier ones that me and the one in Duluth there, CB Mobile, Bill Terry, and then there's a couple others that started. But
Yeah,
yeah,
you're definitely one of the originals. I mean, 27 years, that's a long time ago, man. That's
yeah, it's
that's
hard to
probably
believe.
longer than some of our operators our ages, Shad. And you don't look like you're that old to be able to been washing for that long.
Yeah, it must be the chemicals are good for your skin. But what was the other question you
What's
had?
happening in St. Cloud? What's it like in St. Cloud?
It's pretty good. I think it it appears that the economy is like it's steady, but I think next year is going to be a really good year if what they're talking about, depending on which side of the aisle, conservative or liberal, politics wise, there should be a lot of investment in America right now. So I'm looking forward to like a boom in the next year or two. And I'm grateful this year though it's been pretty steady in the St. Cloud area, but it hasn't it seems like the harder I try to get new customers, like reaching out for them, it's doesn't work as well as just word of mouth and just time, the time of year or the state of the economy. So right now it's
Their need.
good. It's a little down from last year, not a lot, but it's kind of steady. So
Mhm.
despite what they're saying with the economy, it's pretty steady for us. So,
What is the population in St. Cloud?
just
What
St.
do you
Cloud
think?
itself, I think is like 60 some thousand, but there's several suburbs. So we're talking 150 to 200,000 people within a 60-mile radius, which is kind of my territory, or 60 to
Yeah.
90-mile radius or so.
Yeah, that's plenty of area to cover. So, in your career in fleet washing for 27 years, how have you seen fleet washing change from when you started to now?
Well, my first thought when you asked that question was the equipment and chemicals have gotten better. I think the soap is pretty much, it's improved a bit, but there's additives, but the other things with the chemicals are better, but the pumps especially. I remember when I started, they were these water pumps that would only put out 1,000 psi and 21 gallons a minute. So if you had the third gun, it would you'd drop a third of your pressure, and everything's much better. The technology's better, the chemicals are better. I especially would say the guns are better, because the injectors and the tips used to be stainless, and even though it's stainless, the pre-wash would erode at it over time. So we had to, especially when you got 3 4 trucks with three guns on each truck and a couple spares, they if you're not checking them constantly, there was a problem. You weren't cleaning right. But now you can go a year without, we check them, but you can go a year without an injector problem or a tip.
Isn't that awesome?
Much better, yeah. And the wands is another huge thing. I love the new wands with the removable handles. That's been a game changer because even though they're trained not to drag the guns, from the handle, they invariably would do that a lot of times, and then you get a tear there. We're constantly changing barrels out, and that's $100 a crack. So equipment's better, chemicals are better, and then the feedback and the whole BioClean system that we have with the other operators, uh, the mastermind meetings and whatever every 2 years and stuff like this. So it's all around much better than the beginning.
Talk about the injector more. When you think about the best fleet wash practice, what PSI are you trying to run out of the gun?
Yeah, I mean, with the new pumps, you can crank them up to 2,000 or more PSI now with those
Yeah, but
AR
is that
pumps.
is that too high? Like, do you get
Yeah, way
tired?
too high. It you're depending on the curve on your wand, that that you're fighting that pressure. You know what I'm saying? And so much above 1200, in my opinion, it's either the guy's arms get sore, they're wasting water because even though they could wash faster, only a few of my guys are experienced or motivated enough where if I cranked it to 1500, they'd be like, yeah, let's go. The rest of them would still wash the same pace, the same speed, apply the same amount of pre-wash. And the sweet spot for me is between 12 and 1300 psi. And what's nice is the new pumps and the new pressure regulators they work really good. There's no pressure loss as long as everything's working good. And so yeah, that's
Yeah.
definitely the injectors though last a lot longer and they're repairable easier now too. So
Yeah, there's been so much technology and engineering into that injector. Tyler, you don't even know how well, you probably do. You may have used other type of injectors, but the injectors that we have, the BioClean ones, are special compared to what else is out there. So it's cool. Tyler, tell us a little bit about Omaha. What's happening with Premier? What's the trucking industry, fleet wash industry like down there?
Yeah, it's growing. It's growing fast. Omaha's got, I think we're right at 1 million people, I think. And we've been doing it for 12 years, and we've been with BioClean for about 3 years. Um, but the growth in Omaha is just expanding in every category. I mean, food distribution, um, aggregate, gravel, rock haulers, concrete. I mean, it's all just growing. Pretty steady. It really picked up probably 5 years ago. Just massive growth. So it's good to be with that. It's good to have been here and been established kind of right before that growth took off because we kind of had our name in place. So now we're I'd like to think we're the go-to for fleet washing in Omaha. And it's nice to keep growing with that. We just built a new shop and bought 3 new trucks last year. So we don't have operators for all those trucks yet, but at least we've got the trucks in place. But yeah, the growth in Omaha has just been fast.
That's
So
awesome. And I just think too, like geographically, where the interstates cross there, and Iowa and Nebraska, great states. There's a lot of trucks that come through there that either have like corporations there or they're housed there. Um, are you seeing that, or what kind of industry is it that's growing? You said
yeah,
aggregate, food.
yeah, it's everything. It's agriculture. I mean, one kind of raises the other one. They all kind of feed
Hmm.
off each other. So we've got Interstate 80 going east and west. We've got Interstate 29 going north and south. So we're right there in the crosshairs. And um, yeah, just every category has been growing. So it's been nice to be with that and grow with it.
I think both of you guys kind of highlighted this. It's growing, and we see the potential of continuous growth. And I think that's important to know. So, does there seem to be any big challenges that you see within the fleet washing industry right now?
As far as challenges go, I think a lot of the reason customers call us to come wash their fleet is in part they don't have anyone in their wash bays. And I think our challenge is the same situation, having guys that are competent, manning the guns and driving our trucks. We've been doing all right with that, but that's definitely our biggest challenge is having guys in place to, drive the trucks that we're buying to keep growing. So
Yeah.
staffing is the biggest challenge without a doubt.
Yeah. Would you agree with that, Shad?
well, what we got going on is different now. Just I think it's almost been 2 years now, but finally got a manager that to help run my operations, and that's been a big help. But he was in prison before, and he ended up finding God, and now he actually started like a Bible study or worship thing in his basement, and it kind of grew into his own church that he has for people in recovery from drugs and whatnot. And so he's doing this Monday night church thing that's grown to a couple hundred people now, and but
Wow.
he also was in some of them sober houses or halfway houses after prison, and that's the network we're getting most of our workers from. I've got a handful of them from my son, his friends, in their 20s, but the rest of them have come through this, and it's been good because he can hand pick people that are desperate for a job. They can't find work elsewhere because of the charges. Uh, and we've got extra workers now. The competent part, though, like Tyler was alluding to, that's another story, getting them. But we've been able to find some pretty good people, excellent people, best I've actually ever had overall. But there's still a few bad apples now and then. But as far as employees go, we've been pretty lucky in that aspect. The challenges I've got that I see, um, only thing I could think of was environmental issues as far as some companies, want you to or don't want you to wash even if you reclaim. And then the other issue I have is with polished aluminum. We try to stay away from it because if you don't have the right operator there who knows how to use the gentle pack or the citric or whatever, or just brush it with soap, you don't, we've had a few issues like that where they just polished their whole tank or truck and somebody put straight pre-wash on it and didn't and just let it sit.
Hmm.
And that's bad.
Yeah,
But
that's a challenge.
yeah, that'd be the only concern I'd have for BioClean if they could, and maybe I haven't done enough research, but how's your isn't there like a couple of different gentle packs now?
Yeah, there's a newer gentle pack.
I don't know if I've tried it
The
yet.
K4, or it's yeah.
Yeah, I'll have to give it a try. The complaint we had with K3 is that it wasn't strong enough. So
I,
they would spray it on and you had to let it dwell longer and it didn't seem to, the soap wouldn't work as good with K3 as it does with
yeah,
K1. But when you say,
100 on seeing what we can do to kind of look into that a little further. Um, so why did you guys choose fleet washing? Why is this the industry you chose?
Um, for me, I guess it's the type of customers. When I first started out, we would do the residential, we would do the commercial, and we'd do fleets and things. Um, Not a fan of residential at all. Um, so we started doing a little bit of commercial, storefronts, things like that, along with fleets. But ultimately, we just basically went exclusively with fleets because the time of day we can do it. There's just no one around. I mean, when you're doing storefronts, it's late at night after they close. I mean, we used to do a lot of fast food chains, and you couldn't get there till 1 a.m. and you'd be working till 6 or 7 a.m. and then your schedule's all messed up for fleet washing. So um, we kind of just stuck with fleets. We can do it, Saturdays and Sundays during the day. We can do it in the evenings, afternoons, during the week. So it really fit the schedule that I liked the most, and the demand was there. So that's why we kind of doubled down on it.
Nice. I love that. Yeah, it's very schedulable. It's continuous revenue, like you can count on it, scale.
Exactly.
You know what you're going to
Yep.
wash next week. You know what you're going to wash in 2 weeks. So I think that's a nice thing. How about you, Shad? Why'd you pick this?
well, I don't know that I picked it for, I mean, I would say that now, but initially the reason was I was trying to sell Greg into Amway, get him into my Amway business, and he talked me into BioClean instead. So, that story, but that's why I started. The numbers lined up, and but to expand on what Tyler was saying, it's yeah. I always describe it because we're in Minnesota, the land of 10,000 lakes. There's tons of water, and I have both houses that I've lived at since I've done truck washing. I've got my own well, so I get water dirt cheap, and now I've got my well pump running on solar, so it's essentially free. And the other thing I talk about is that in Minnesota we've got tons of bugs in the summertime. A lot of states do, but it's really bad here with mosquitoes and such. So we always have dirty trucks, whether it's the bugs season or it's the snow and salt on the road season. So there's always a need to clean it. And most of my customers are a lot of them once a week, and I just say the majority are on a every other week basis. So it's nice because if you do a good job, I don't have to seek out a lot of new customers, like Tyler was saying too. Also with the commercial, or I'm assuming residential, he meant like driveways or house, siding on houses. And I agree with that too. We'd go in there to like a trailer park where they want us to wash their homes, and then they'd complain about there's some soap on their window, or the hose got drug over their flowers, and now we ruined their expensive, whatever kind of flowers. And it just, whereas with the trucks, they're like Tyler said, there's not a lot of people around in the mornings and the weekends, and they're happy to see us usually if the mechanics are there because they don't got to wash them. Uh, and then if we do a good job, we're there every week or every other week. I don't got to chase after and try to sell like my buddy's. He does woodworking. He sells things made out of barrel wood, from old wine whiskey barrels. And you constantly got to, you don't need a new one of those fire tables every year, whereas it's just weekly,
Yeah.
over and over, and it's repeat business. So it's a really ideal business, especially with, like I said, the water. And then I'm close to you guys, so I don't have to pay as much in shipping as some of the other people. So I'm pretty blessed here. I don't know how it is for Tyler to ship to Nebraska, but I'm sure it's not cheap.
That's pretty cheap. He doesn't pay, I mean, he pays a little bit more than you, but I don't think it's that much. A couple $100 maybe.
Well, that's good. I know
Yeah,
at one
it's
time during COVID it was really
180?
good.
yeah, it's like 195, I think. I mean,
Yeah.
we're just straight down the interstate from you guys, pretty much.
Oh, that ain't bad
No.
for one pallet, or
Yeah,
Yeah.
yep,
like less than
Thousand and
200
thousand.
bucks.
Yeah.
yep.
Wow, yeah, I'm paying about $100. I think it was 65 a few years ago, but I think it's 95 bucks for a pallet now. And that gets me about 2 weeks worth of chemicals usually.
That is really nice, Shad. I mean, you are in a great location and you've done a great job with your business. I think it's really cool how you have, because Tyler's talking about some of the challenges, really a challenge of like hiring. But here, Shad, you've kind of thought outside the box. You got connected with a really good guy who came out of like treatment in prison, and now he has this network of people who want to work, and you're providing that opportunity for them. You don't have a hiring issue. I think that's really good. Do they have CDLs, or how does the driving work?
Yeah, that was part of the program. Usually we just help them get their license in the first place. Most of these guys don't have a driver's license or a car. So we talk about that with them, like, okay, this is a labor intensive industry. The job is hard work, but it's rewarding. And I remind them how, when you work out, your muscles release endorphins. So it's a natural, good feeling kind of thing. And you're getting that while you wash trucks, plus you're outside. But the goal is always to get them to the next level. And I always tell them, we're not a huge company. There's not that much room for growth as far as can we offer them all salaries and medical benefits, at least not in my company yet. But we tell them that, I want them to get their driver's license, get them on track as far as getting out of the halfway house, getting stable, getting a car. So I've helped lots of them do that. And in the past, when I had all or more CDL trucks, I had two of the people get their CDLs. I help them, and I even pay for it. And if they're a good employee, I'll invest extra money and time into them because I believe in them,
Yeah,
and no one else gives them a chance. And it's worked out really well. So,
that's
but
cool.
eventually they move on, they get another job because they've got the experience as a driver for us, and even with their past, they can usually get in somewhere after they've worked for us for a while. So it's kind of a springboard, a stepping stone for them to get to the next point in their life. So it's worked out really good these last couple of years.
Nice. Appreciate that. When I think of fleet washing, and you guys probably can agree to this too, is fleet washing and the industry of fleet washing really is resilient. So, what factors do you think contribute to this industry's resilience, even despite economic challenges?
I think anytime you're tied to transportation, you're gonna be all right. I mean, transportation and everything related to it is just it's a solid industry. So, um, from the guys washing the trucks to fixing the tires, to fueling the trucks. I mean, anything related to transportation, um, it's gonna endure the test of time. So,
I like that. Yeah, definitely. Shad, you want to add anything to that?
Yeah. Yeah, that was my answer too. That trucks are needed, to haul just about everything. It's on a truck at some point. It might be on a train or a plane for a while, but to get to the businesses, it's on a truck usually, and they get dirty. And then also during the pandemic, thank goodness, uh, we were considered essential because we washed the inside of some trucks out or whatever reason. The trucking industry was an essential during the scam thing, but we stayed in business, and they're always there. I don't know if it's recession proof, but it's pretty close. I've been through a couple recessions, or one for sure, and we lost a lot of business. That was the thing. The trucks, like say they were weekly wash, they would cut down to once a month, or just say stop washing for a while back in like 2008, 9, uh, that time. But eventually they came back. If the ones that survived, most all of them survived, and we survived. So it's a really good industry, and proof is in the we went through the pandemic, like I said. So we were lucky in that regard too. But that kind of shows that it's in quote essential business in more ways than one, though. So,
Yes, that is good. Appreciate that. So the other big part is our quality. Fleet washing, you need to have a good quality wash. And yeah, Shad, you're working on, because Kevin wants to do some more polished aluminum, whatever. But customer feedback's important. What are some reasons that your customers get their trucks washed by you? What are some reasons they get their trucks washed by you? Go ahead, Tyler.
I think the first one is the consistency. I mean, it's amazing how many, fleet washing companies start up and they just don't show up. I mean, they go out and maybe they sell, they promise customers a rate and a product, but they just don't show up. So, I mean, we've had customers say, "Hey, can you match this guy's price? We'd rather have you." And we're like, "No, we can't match that price." So they'd go with that guy, but then, a month later, 2 months later, 3 months later, they would call us back and say, "Hey, are you still good with that price you gave us?" And usually we'll say, "Yeah, we might raise it a little bit," but yeah, we it's just being consistent. That's our biggest pride and joy. And obviously quality is a given. You got to do a good job. Otherwise you develop a reputation, for doing a bad job. And Omaha, it's as big as it is, it still is kind of a small town where, everybody sees our trucks. So we want we want good vibes when everybody sees our trucks, not, oh, these guys do a crappy job. So quality and consistency, those are the biggest things for us.
That's perfect. I like that. How about you, Shad?
yeah, I would agree too, and that's why I hate. That's why I would usually turn down polished aluminum work because it's actually our fuel supplier, the Dooley's Petroleum that delivers fuel to my shop. They always would ask to wash their trucks. I'm like, no, we're not really doing the polish thing. And it's different than if they just had polished fuel tanks or rims, but they had the whole tanker polished. So that's just a lot of risk. And sure, we were doing it all right for a few weeks, but then, it was the guy's last day he was quitting, get another job, and he must have just not paid attention and let the new guy just spray pre-wash right on there. They had just polished it because it was going to be in a parade. The next day it was in a parade and was supposed to. They were so
Oh,
mad, and I thought they
gosh.
were going to sue us. But what's weird is they didn't answer. We offered, do you want us to try and polish it out? Do you want us to pay for it? You get it repolished. We're really sorry. Didn't answer. Didn't answer. And then like 2 weeks later, he said, "Hey, are you guys still washing?" And I was like, yeah, I guess. But
Yeah.
anyway, the the things that keep them coming back is price. I guess the reason they came back probably was because we work together. They deliver fuel. Plus, there isn't a lot of competition. When there is competition, it's usually a startup guy, and kind of like Tyler was saying, they once they get a couple customers, I always say as soon as they get a big customer, that's when you see if they're going to make it because it's really hard to have two trucks and six employees compared to one truck and one employee. When you can't be in two places at once, you got to trust them, and that's what happens is they usually fall apart. So we've been able to keep most of our customers happy. But it's the service. If we do a bad job, I don't charge. I make it right and do whatever we can to fix it, and then we're doing stuff in the community too, like I mentioned, with the employees.
Yeah,
And then
that's
my
a big,
wife's
that's a
starting a
big deal.
nonprofit thing too that she's doing, and it's a long story, but it's all connected. So those are the reasons. I think they know that it's more than just a name, a business. That's why I was nervous about having a manager too, because I was always the go-to. They instead of just ProClean, they thought about Shad because I would call them, check on the quality, and it was like a rapport versus just how large corporations are. You never talk to the real person. It's like
Right.
6 people deep, and it just loses that personal touch. So we were a small company. We got a personal touch. I do have a manager now, but he's pretty good about fixing issues. So those are some of the reasons why people choose us.
Nice. I'm glad that you were able to find a manager, Shad. You worked too hard for too long not to have somebody else wash. Like
Yeah, I got
when we have new operators, one of my first goals I try to get with them is we got to get you off of the wand. So like that's kind of the key. Um, and then we kind of talked about this a little bit, the industry, how BioClean's evolved. Maybe Tyler, you can kind of touch base on this. You've been washing fleets for a long time. How have you seen what you previously used and how it evolved into now that you're using BioClean systems? How has your history in fleet washing and using BioClean compared to other providers changed for you for the better or whatever?
Yeah, I mean, it's allowed us to just kind of scale faster. Like I said, as fast as Omaha is growing, the quality, the expectations are consistently going up from our customers. So we got to try and match that. And we're trying multiple avenues of ways to grow with our city, while not sacrificing quality. And I met Blaine at a convention in Vegas probably 4 years ago, I think it was, and we just got to talking, and um, yeah, we signed up then. So we've been doing it for like 3 or 4 years now with BioClean, and it's allowed us to do things easier. We can train faster, without letting quality slip away from us, and that's been the biggest part of growing has been BioClean. So it's really helped us out.
That's nice. Have you, because you know Tyler Shockey too a little bit, don't you?
Yeah, yep.
Um, so it's a nice balance. You guys are really close to each. I mean, you're not super close, but within geographical destination, almost like Shad and Minneapolis. It's like 2 hour and a half from each other. How long does it take you to get to Kearney? Is he a couple hours away?
Yeah, he's probably 2.5 hours,
Okay.
I'd say. Yep.
That's a pretty good distance then. Um, but it's nice when we have operators that are close, like here in Minneapolis, we have Clean Tech, who's Keith Travers. He's been washing for, close to 30 years too. And Shad and St. Cloud, we're all within a few hours of each other. They're 45 minutes, and yet we dominate the market. And it's kind of a special thing that we can do that in an area. So I'm pretty proud of that. Um, how, do you, when you think of the network, Shad, you talked about this a little bit. How have you benefited from being part of BioClean systems and being an operator for us?
Well, from the beginning, BioClean has been there, and it's kind of funny. And I was going to be a dentist originally, and I was an Amway and all that. But yeah, in the beginning, I had truck 14. I still have it. I don't use it, but it's my original truck, 1983. But I remember coming down, and there was a problem with the pump, and Greg was there. He's going to help me. But he's like, okay, take the head off that pump. And, I knew all about biochemistry and stuff, but not a lot about fixing pumps. So I started doing it with a ratchet and socket and such. And he watched me for a few minutes, and he just, not like that. And he grabs an impact and takes it all off in a matter of seconds. And he's like, don't you know anything about, and I'm like, no, Greg, I was going to, and I'm like, and don't yell at me. I was like, I don't work for you. He's like, oh yeah, yeah, I'm sorry. But, yeah, they were willing to help me from the start and help me get my CDL even when I got a bigger truck. But the main thing now is with the system, the network is so much better. So I don't have to. I can just get the answer. There wasn't really an internet like that back then, so it's just much better.
Yeah, we're really glad that you're part of the network, Shad. you've done a lot for us too in our growth as well, testing different things out, using different products, whatever the case may be. You're close. It's nice to cross paths with you. So we talked about the benefits. We talked about recession proof. Um, so what do you guys hope for? What are some of your future goals for the rest of this year? Like looking at the beginning of the year to where we're at now, looking at this last half of the year, what are you looking to accomplish over the next 6 months? So, Shad, why don't you go first as far as your thoughts on St. Cloud, your goal, what you want to accomplish over the next 6 months?
I would say just to sustain more growth. Like I mentioned earlier, I think we're down just a little bit from last year's sale. Last year was my best year ever as far as sales. I finally started raising my rates over the last few years, but I'm hoping to have it pick up again so we have so we have growth this year. And then I'm looking forward to, beyond that. Like you said, 6 months. So in the next 6 months, I'm looking forward to get a few more customers, maybe get some of the ones back uh, that we lost or whatever. But it's really good right now. It's really close to last year. So I'm hopefully just a little more growth.
Nice. When you say raise your rates, like when you rose your rates this last time, did you lose any customers?
No, I never have, and I
You'll
think
never lose customers. You'll
no,
never lose customers.
not I haven't over a price increase. I have
No,
not.
because they love your quality. They love who you are. They like what you represent. They're willing to pay a little bit more. That just means that your customers really do enjoy having you as their
Well,
fleet wash provider.
yeah, and I mean there isn't a lot of competition, like I said, but the other thing though that was interesting is talking with Nate at Lightning Mobile Wash, and I
Yeah,
remember I called him to ask him about how he just every year,
every
like
year.
March or whatever, just raise him $1. I was like confused, like, well, if he did that in a few years, they'll be $40 a piece, and he's like, yep. And I just like thought that was a lot, and then I looked at what they're charging at stationary car truck wash bays, like at the dealer, the Gator Volvo dealer, that's the Hino dealer here, and they're $65 for a truck.
Right.
And I was only a couple of years ago 25, so I've
And you're driving to their location.
right. So I started raising my rates a lot. I was always, I think, it was always I grew up not a lot of money, so just making money. I was like, I'm making plenty of money. I don't want to gouge my customers, but I wished I would have raised them sooner because it would have helped me through some of the tougher times. Now with the increase in prices, I've been able to build 2 new wash trucks, new to me,
That's
uh,
awesome,
in the
Shad.
last 2 years.
Cool.
On a year, I've got so I was running trucks that were 1995 and older purposely.
Yeah, not anymore. You don't need
So
to
now
do
I've
that.
got a
I kind of,
2013.
our mobile wash was doing the same. What Northern Lightning does is, yes, they raise their rates every year, but they also contribute that and they trickle it down to their staff. So everybody continues to grow. The company continues to grow. In fact, I just was on a conference call with his operations manager, and they now have 3 locations in Northern Michigan, 3 different facilities. And their goal this year is to hit $1 million in sales at each of those locations. And they're going to get it. And it's that consistent platform of raising every year, and then just the standards that they have within their own policy and how they have these systems set up. It's really a nice scenario that they've got going on. So keep raising the rates. All right. So Tyler, what's going on for the next 6 months for you?
Um, just getting a little bit better staffed. We were sitting good last year. We kind of got. I don't want to say we took a step back, but we took a step forward, but we're having a hard time filling truck seats. So I'm kind of doing a lot of washing, more than I want to be doing right now.
Sure.
On top of you know everything else. So this next 6 months, we're really going to focus on just getting staff in place, starting with wash techs,
Yep.
turning our current wash techs into crew leaders, um, and just getting a good, solid, stronger foundation of people. like I said, we just added 2 new trucks this year. We've got a third one that is not in service yet, but you
Ready.
know, it's ready. We're a little bit hesitant on it just because we're having a hard time, you know, getting guys um, to fill the spots on the other trucks. So just staffing right now is what we're going to work on. It's up and down. Like I said, last year we were good, but we've added more employees. We're bigger this year than we were last year. So it kind of puts me back on the truck when that happens, and it drives me crazy. But
Yeah,
um,
you'll get
I
off of that again. How
yeah,
many
I
employees do
know
you
it's
have?
temporary.
How many employees do you have right now, Tyler?
We just started 2 new guys on Monday, so I believe we have 8 or 9 right now.
Cool. Good job. I would suggest if you haven't watched it, there's two vlog videos. Like this one that we're doing right now is going to be posted in July. So I think it's the May one or the February one. One is about onboarding, and the other one is about hiring and recruiting. There are, I was just blown away by some of the tips that some of our guys do and use for hiring. And we had this professional recruiting person join, and some of his ideas were great. I was like, huh, this is good. So if you haven't watched those, Tyler, I would suggest that um, just as an idea.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. I started watching it one day, and it was one of those things where something else popped up, so I had to leave, and I just never picked back up on that episode. So
Well, now that you're
um,
washing trucks, put the earbuds in and just go to town.
I know, I know. I'm really bad about that. I can't multitask. I'll forget what I'm doing on the trucks, or I won't hear anything you guys are saying if I'm washing. So
Yeah, you'll be
uh,
burning aluminum, polished aluminum and stuff.
oh yeah, I'll be messing windshields up left and right.
Well, very good. Well, I appreciate both of your guys' time so much and sharing with me your insights of the fleet wash industry. Also kind of opening up about your own business, where it was at, what the location's like in your city, and then also kind of what you're looking to make sure that you improve on here over the next 6 months. So thank you guys both very much. Appreciate you joining me for this July mastermind session.
No problem.
Yep.
Thank you, Adam, for putting it together.